Hello there, Tara here from the Feminine Space, and today I want to talk to you about how to chart your cycle. I mean, let's be honest, it's not really a sexy term, but as we go through this in a little bit more depth, I'm hoping that this will really inspire you to get to know you in that way that you probably haven't before, and start to become aware of yourself and your superpowers, as well as those times when perhaps you're going to need some extra nurturing and nourishment to really help you go through your month in a much more balanced and grounded way. So, charting your cycle, what is it? It's a very simple practice for you to be able to each day know where you are in your cycle, and therefore you're starting to become aware of what it is that what you may need from yourself throughout the day. So what do I mean by that? As we go through our month, our energy and our skills and abilities change and shift throughout the month. For some women, they're quite gentle shifts. For others, they can be much, much bigger shifts. I know for me, I'm very sensitive, and I do feel like I can have very big shifts depending on where I am throughout the month. And this then, because I'm so cycle aware now, I know then how to work with that to the best of my ability in myself, in terms of how I show up for myself, how I show up in my relationships, my business, my exercise, my diet, anything, my friendships, my family. You know, this cycle awareness really, really has changed my life and empowered me so that actually I can really calm down some of that negative self-talk that sadly happens, especially if you've got any confidence, self-worth or self-esteem issues. I found I can very easily make this something about me being broken or not good enough, when actually what I've come to understand is that this is just my cycle. This is quite simply my hormones and how they play out. So, and I see this time and time again with women where they're just being so harsh with themselves. And a huge part of that is because we're just so poorly educated about our bodies, our hormones, and how these show up. And then not only poorly educated or have had no education at all, but at times we've had really harmful education. You know, many of us would have grown up in an environment, school, work, that really recognised and responded and rewarded consistent day-to-day abilities. And yet as women, actually we're not on a daily cycle, we're much more on a monthly cycle. And that was never spoken about, that was never brought up or addressed. And so, you know, if I'm using my daily, how I show up daily as my benchmark as to whether I'm good enough or not, well, already I'm going to perhaps sell myself short for those days where I don't have so much energy, where I'm not so clear thinking, where I find that I'm perhaps a little bit more emotional or feel more unstable in myself. And so you can see how this starts to perpetuate the conversations that you have with yourself and how you talk to yourself, and then how that can help make you feel about yourself. So what is charting your cycle? It's a really simple process that starts you being able to very simply acknowledge what day you're on of your cycle, what the date is, how you're feeling, what emotions are present for you, what physical symptoms you may be experiencing, what life events are going on. And I include this because I think it's helpful to record whether you're exercising, whether you've had stress at work, or you've had a big event like a redundancy, perhaps done a detox. It's so helpful to be charting what's going on for you at every particular day. And then also just doing a general sense check about where you're at in terms of energy levels, 1 out of 10. And I've designed this chart for you to be able to complete, and you should find this in the links below. So by doing this every morning, or I know some of you have children, so therefore mornings aren't necessarily a good time, but if you can make space at some point in your day, or or in the evening to be able to connect in with what day you are in your cycle, that gentle, like a couple of minute check-in. What are you feeling? Have you got any physical symptoms? What's going on for you currently and where your energy's at? That little check-in is so helpful for if you do this for 3 months, what happens is that you then get this data, and this data is brilliant because it will help you to spot themes and patterns and across the 3 months. 1 month is just not enough because we can vary depending what's going on in our lives, whereas 3 months is a really good amount. If you can do this for longer, do it for longer, because the more data you get, the better information you have. But it gives you the opportunity then to understand patterns and themes. So for example, I know day 24 is quite a low point in my cycle for me. I know that my energy starts to dip drastically. I know that I can become more sensitive at this particular time in my cycle. Whereas I also know that, say, day 4 of my cycle, I'm beginning to come out of that hideaway phase and start to get huge amounts of ideas and inspiration, and that's great for when I want to start growing my business or to think about taking on a new project or perhaps starting to engage in new exercise. I can work that into how I work my diary. So this information is super helpful. And also, by each morning then, if you are reminding yourself where you are in your cycle, it means that there's no surprises. You know, the amount of women, and I was one of these too, that my cycle used to come around, my period used to come around, and I'd be really surprised why I was feeling so horrible and perhaps starting to feel more emotional, more tetchy, more tense. And then I would come on and be like, oh, that's what it was. But now I've got no surprises because I know where I am constantly throughout the month, which means that I can plan this in, but it also means that I've got a deeper level of compassion and kindness for those points in the month where perhaps I'm finding it a bit challenging, because I expect them and I can make allowances for them. So that would be what I would suggest. Start charting your cycle today. Know that you can do this, start filling it in, and then look for ways that you can support yourself. Perhaps if you see patterns where your energy drops significantly, okay, you can start asking yourself, what do I need to give myself there in order to be okay? Usually some form of rest. Likewise, when your energy starts to soar, you know, what can I give myself there to be making the best use of that energy? Well, that might be the time when you want to be taking on more projects at work or starting to, you know, push yourself maybe in your running practice, whatever it is that's meaningful to you. And there's also an app that I would suggest that is also really helpful, and it's called the Hormone Horoscope. And I found this super brilliant because what it does is that it's minimal. You don't have to enter in data each day or anything like that, but you can go on, and once you've got yourself set up with what day you're on in your cycle, it will then tell you what's going on hormonally in your body. And then make suggestions around that. So it will tell you, like, your energy's building today. You might want to go out and do something physical, or you're going to be feeling perhaps a bit fruity today. So you might want to be having a bit of time with your lover, or perhaps actually you're going to be feeling a bit tender today. You want to be grabbing a blanket and doing something that's cozy. You know, it's so good at being able to go, this is biologically what's going on in your body. And then this might be what it is that you need to be able to best support you during that time. So that's the 2 things that I suggest today, but they all come down to starting to chart your cycle so that you know what's going on month in, month out, day in, day out. You get to know yourself so that instead of being in that place of exhaustion, overwhelm, fatigue, period problems, suffering, actually you can start to encourage yourself into feeling more balanced, more grounded, and generally just that more confident around who you are and how you show up each month. So I would love to know how you get on with this. I know that it's been, for so many hundreds of women, this has revolutionized their relationship with themselves. And I would love to know how this is for you. And please share in the comments below. And if this has really sparked your interest, keep checking out my work, because I've got up and coming, I've got more information coming out that's going to support you with this free PDF. But then I've also got some exciting courses as well that are going to really be able to help answer where you've got specific problems throughout the month, and then things that you can do to be able to help support you. So it's been wonderful to connect. I can't wait to hear from you. Take care. Bye.